Mike Conaway. But before we do Mike Conaway, I want you to listen to Nancy Pelosi. I know you heard this on the floor of the House. This is what Nancy Pelosi said that a lot of Republicans are saying led to the nay vote. Let's listen.
$700 billion, a staggering number, but only a part of the cost of the failed Bush economic policies to our country. Policies that were built on budget recklessness. When President Bush took office, he inherited President Clinton's surpluses, 4 years in a row, budget surpluses, on a trajectory of $5.6 trillion in surplus. And with his reckless economic policies, within 2 years, he had turned that around. And now, 8 years later, the foundation of that fiscal irresponsibility, combined with an anything-goes economic policy, has taken us to where we are today.
All right. Congressman Mike Conaway joins us now from Texas. Congressman, first of all, how did you vote?
Well, I voted no.
Did Nancy Pelosi's speech on the floor have anything to do with your vote?
Well, no, it didn't. She was clearly unhelpful. That's totally unnecessary. Her reaction when this thing first broke about a week and a half ago was to immediately go to the partisan side, to immediately talk about failed policies, this and that, as opposed to being a statesman. She's the leader of the House. And the one person who can rise above partisanship and be a statesman without giving anything away to the other side, and quite frankly, I was disappointed that she didn't do that from the very start, culminating in today's speech.
Well, let me just ask you, Congressman, do you know of any Republican who was favorable to this bill who turned against it because of what she said?
No, we didn't have those kind of conversations.
All right. So what is it going to take to change your mind about this bill?
Well, I think we need to address FDIC insurance limits. I think that will be helpful in the next go-around of whatever the next iteration of this is. I hope a strengthened, stronger commitment to a private solution with insurance, kind of like an FDIC insurance, but for the mortgage-backed securities. It's in the bill on kind of a voluntary basis, but I would like to see that a stronger piece of the actual pie. At the end of the day, it's about restoring confidence in the overall lending system, which we have, the overnight systems, the short-term borrowing, those kinds of things. And my no vote was a reflection that I didn't think this, as grave a matter as this is, and as important a vote as this is, that what we were trying to do today would actually restore that confidence once the smoke clears. So
now, when you were on the floor, I'm wondering if you saw what was happening to the market. At one point, the Dow Jones Industrial was down 700 points when they got word that it looked likely that the House would defeat the bill. Did that bother anybody on the floor of the House?
Well, that conversation was going throughout the House floor. Everybody has a way to check what the market was doing, and so that information was available and out there. I don't know that it necessarily swung anyone. I understand it's back up. It's just down 500 at this point in time. But we will see over the next several days if some of this Armageddon that many of us think is going to happen, or is at the risks of happening, and why we really need to do something in this regard, does begin to unfold. But let's hope not. Let's hope that while we can manage our way through this, the private sector can, until the House can come back perhaps Friday and readdress the circumstances and maybe get a bill that's better and can garner additional Republican support.
Now, have you heard anything, sir, about whether or not there would be another vote at the end of the day or before the end of the day?
No, not yet. We're not in charge. Speaker Pelosi is in charge of the House floor and what happens there, so you'll need to talk to them.
All right. And are you going to try to change the draft in the manners that you mentioned and present that to your leaders, John Boehner and others, to try to get a new bill that you could get behind?
Well, certainly we're trying to do that. I had this conversation last night with Barney Franks about the insurance thing. He agrees with it, just didn't think he could get into this bill. So maybe this gives us a chance to, not the insurance, but the FDIC limit. I had that conversation with Mr. Franks last night. And maybe as a part of this, we can address that, which is the liquidity side on the banks. If customers believe that their funds are secure in the bank, then they'll less likely be able to take them out and create an artificial run on a bank that's unnecessary given the overall scope of that bank's financial statements.
Mike Conaway, thank you so much for joining us. We welcome now Scott.